Russian President Vladimir Putin says that Russia is fighting terrorism in Syria, not striving for leadership in the Arab country.
I want to note, we're not striving for any kind of leadership over Syria. Syria can have only one leadership, the Syrian people. We aim at making a contribution in the fight against terrorism, which is dangerous for the United States, for Russia, and for the European countries, and for the whole world without exaggeration.
Putin slammed the United States for refusing to cooperate with Moscow in Syria. He said that Washington has not provided Russia with intelligence about either terrorist facilities in Syria or sites that should not be bombed. Putin said that Russia, the United States, and Europe should encourage political dialogue between the sides of the Syrian conflict. The Russian president noted that Ankara is one of Moscow's most important partners and that Russia needs to understand how to build relations with Turkey to fight terrorism. Mike Billington from the Executive Intelligence Review joins us right now from Leesburg. Mike Billington, if we want to take a look at the way that the U.S. and its partners and its allies have reacted to the way that Russia has maneuvered itself in Syria, how would you describe it?
Putin has completely outflanked Obama. There's no question. And the outflanking by moving into Syria hits Obama's crimes in two ways. One is that it completely undermined his attempt to start a war in Ukraine. And of course, in Syria, it basically exposed the fact, as Mr. Lyndon LaRouche has been arguing for years, that the Obama policy, as the Bush and Cheney policy, was not to fight terrorism, but to support terrorist organizations in order to overthrow the secular governments, with starting in Iraq and then in Libya and now in Syria. And Putin has exposed that fact. What you brought up about the U.S. refusing to provide intelligence to the Russians simply exemplifies the fact that the people that we are aiding and supporting, which we call the so-called moderate opposition to Assad, are in fact directly working with al-Nusra, the al-Qaeda connected forces, just as in Libya we supported the al-Qaeda connected forces there to overthrow Gaddafi, and you see the result: absolute hell, chaos. You see the entire area of the Mideast creating unlivable conditions, driving literally millions of people out of their homes into Europe, which has begun to force the Europeans to recognize what an absolute disaster the Obama NATO policy has been. You might know that the successful targeting of a convoy of ISIS leaders yesterday in Iraq was done not by the U.S. information. It was done by the new information center set up in Baghdad by Russia in collaboration with Iran, Iraq, and Syria. Now, this is quite dramatic. This represents a fact that this is a serious effort to destroy this terrorist operation, working legally because they've been requested to come into Syria, and it looks like they're going to be requested to come into Iraq very soon and are already participating in intelligence gathering in Iraq, which means that we have in our hands the potential of literally ending this scourge of British, Saudi supported and Obama, Bush, Cheney supported terrorism once and for all. It's going to require getting Obama out of office, not in the election, but before that, through impeachment, through the 25th Amendment, ending this reign of hell under the Bush and Obama administrations. But we're on the way. There's reason to be tremendously optimistic in the sense that Putin, in collaboration with Xi Jinping in China, has effectively launched both a global development program through the BRICS at the time that the Western financial system is in a state of absolute panic and breakdown, and a military strategy aimed at honoring national sovereignty of all nations and crushing this terrorist scourge, which, as I said, they have exposed as being protected. That even in Syria, the U.S. Air Force attacks in Syria were essentially providing a no-fly zone by being there, keeping the Syrian army and Syrian Air Force away from those areas. That now has been ended. You now have direct collaboration between the only on-the-ground force fighting the terrorists, which is the Assad army, along with the Kurds, working hand in hand with the Russians, and with the Iraqis and with Iranian forces in order to effectively do what Obama and the Americans claimed they were trying to do, but in fact were doing quite the opposite. So this is a very dramatic moment.
Thank you so much for that. Mike Billington from the Executive Intelligence Review.